Welcome to Make Your Remarkable, the podcast where banking meets inspiration. Here, we share stories that spark new ideas, open doors, and remind us what's possible when passion meets purpose. Each week, you'll hear from remarkable guests, leaders, dreamers, doers, and difference makers, who bring fresh perspectives on leadership and culture, community connections, and the path to financial success. Wherever you are on your journey, their stories will encourage you to think bigger, live bolder, and make your own remarkable. So let's dive in. It's time to make your remarkable.
Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for spending your time. I know you guys are really busy, and for you guys to take your time out of your day and spend some time with us on Make Your Remarkable podcast is awesome. So I'm really grateful, and it's been great to get to know you, just chill and shoot around. But I want to know a little bit, just for our listeners and for me, how you guys met. I think high school sweethearts, but yeah, give us kind of the recap. I want to hear kind of both sides of how you guys met. Give us the rundown. Who wants to start?
Well, we can go the fun version, or we can go the normal version.
Oh, let's go fun. I'm
here with the fun version. Okay,
I'm curious what the fun version is too.
We actually were pretty good friends before we ever started talking, right? Okay. So that was fun. It's you got to know each other when we were young. So I got to Prince when I was halfway through 5th grade. We probably started hanging around the same peer group around 6th, 7th grade. And then, there's just a fun group of human beings that were around. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the summer, I'm at the lake with one of my buddies. Her friend lived on the lake. My buddy and her friend were both dating, right?
Okay.
And so we were going to go hang out with them. Well, we didn't know who the friend was going to bring. And all of a sudden we get there, and they're trying to egg us with eggs. And, it ended up being... my future wife, and we ended up turning the tables, and they got a lot of eggs put on their heads and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of how it initially started, was at the lake, and went from there.
Did you guys egg each other?
Yeah. So, we tried. Me and my friend had eggs waiting. We were gonna egg them when they got there, but they were tipped off by her mom, who picked them up, and so they got some eggs.
That's how young we were. We got picked up.
Maybe we had water balloons.
We got picked up.
Anyways, turned
over.
into this fun little back and forth. But I think we realized we had a little thing for each other and decided to start dating at the ripe age of 15.
15?
Yeah.
So was anyone interested in each other first? Did you have to chase Anna, or Anna, were you hey, John, I'm single? How did that, was it mutual, or was it
I think I developed a crush on you probably first. We were still friends. I never would have, I never probably would have let you know that, but I think I did, and then you finally figured it out.
Yeah, I know. It takes us guys a little bit longer to figure it out every now and then. But, no, we figured it out, and, it was... Now, we have some epic ways of asking how to date and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I threw off the jet ski and was like, hey, you can get back on the jet ski if you'll go out with me. She said yes, so it worked.
And give credit to your friends for setting you guys
up.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, these guys would throw eggs on each other, and who knows?
Yeah.
Here we are today.
It worked.
What was it like dating? High school, and obviously the pressures of that, which is just where am I going to go to school? What's my next, what's my next, step, and just a lot of pressure just in general. Talk to me about how the dating relationship, and then even into marriage, high school to college, how was that? How were your friendships? Did you carry the same friendships from Prince to, from your high school to, college, or how was that?
Dating in high school is, especially at a school like Prince Avenue, where there's only 36 in our class at the time.
It was very small.
It was even smaller than it is now. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everything about everybody. So dating in a school like that was interesting. But the good thing is it's not like we were taking a whole bunch of different classes. We're together all the time.
Yeah, it's nice.
So it was good. My grades went up drastically. Miss Ricketts, who is still in charge of, counseling the kids there now for college and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We'll still tell the stories about how my grades improved drastically once I started dating my wife.
I was a big studier.
Yeah, she was a big studier. Yeah. Well, the good thing is she would make flashcards, right? Well, she'd study those flashcards, and I'd get those flashcards like 30 minutes before the test because she's already knew it by then, and I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I would just real quick, 30 minutes before the test, and it brought me from like a C to a B. You know what I mean? So that was kind of
there we go.
A big thing for us. But dating through high school was great, and then going into college, I mean, we kind of by then had an idea probably, hey, this is probably just more than high school little puppy love. And it was something to where it was fun because talk about friendships, like it was dating my best friend throughout that whole period. So that was a big part of it.
Yeah. And you guys got married really young, which is awesome.
We
you guys
did.
want to talk a little bit about that, of like how that went down and how was that experience?
Yeah. So we got married after our second year of college. John was playing football in college. So I transferred. I started out at I think it's UNG is what it is now. It was called something else then, but
Gainesville State.
State.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was Gainesville State back in the day.
Yeah.
So I transferred to, he was at Mars Hill College near Asheville, North Carolina. And we finished out our degrees there. But yeah, I mean, we got married and it was great. I know that we've talked about this a little bit, but we just knew, when you have someone who has the same core values, we knew where we were headed as far as just like what our goals were, and they included each other, and it was very seamless.
Yeah.
And it helped. She was an AOC major or athletic training major.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
she
wow.
was
I got to
the
work with
athletic
football.
training for the football team my junior and senior year. So like she rode the bus with me to games and
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
all that. Like it was
Yeah.
so it was fun. It was
Yeah.
good.
A lot of overlap. So you
Yes.
knew his world.
Very much.
Which is, and,
yeah.
and you still know his world
Oh,
because
yeah.
you were there and you know how he's got to operate to be excellent. And I love what you said about like the flashcards and how your grades improved because Anna was there. There's a quote I think Winston Churchill said: "With every great man in history, there's always a woman by his side," and it's so true. So I love how your grades like elevated.
Oh,
and,
well, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you want in somebody who's gonna be beside you the rest of your life, is someone who's gonna elevate you. And that's, I think, early on, both of us were attracted to each other for the fun high school reasons, but also for those reasons, and that we kind of had the same mindset going into a lot of different things.
Talk about a little bit about that. Like, what do you mean mindset? Like, what goals, like ambitions, how you wanted your future to look? Like, talk to me. Like, explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, growing up, dad, head football coach at the University of Georgia, all this kind of stuff. I was a football player. I was very kind of headstrong, I was going to play football, right? And with that, there's a lot of things that you tend to, if you really want to do it and you really want to do it right, there's a lot of things you got to avoid and stay away from and not be a part of, right?
Yeah.
And neither one of us were super fired up about going and doing that stuff.
Right.
And so just having each other, having the ability to be accountable to each other was something that was big all throughout high school.
I love that. It's like team. It's like a lot of collaboration, teamwork, lifting each other up, being there for each other, building each other up. Because playing, I know I have a lot of friends who played collegiate sports. It's hard. It's really hard. High school sports is hard. The pressures of high school is hard. What advice would you give, like, if people are searching, maybe in high school and college, for the person who they want to marry? Like, what advice would you want to like give to them? Like, knowing your story and having, I felt like just listening to you, you had so much alignment with where you were going and the things that you, I guess, would tolerate or not tolerate, and you were aligned.
Right.
And that's important. And, what advice would you like?
Well, I think that ultimately we both are secure in our faith. That's a huge driving force of, it is true. And I think that's why a lot of people maybe aren't ready so young, because you are trying to figure out, certain things, your core values, who you are and all of that. But we had a pretty strong sense early on because we had our faith. And then, I mean, it wasn't a huge ordeal with each other. It wasn't, I don't know. It was just pretty, I feel like we're kind of old souls. So,
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, we were friends.
Yeah.
So the friendship aspect of it, like, how you have your friends that you were best friends with in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and kind of just stick with. That's kind of who we were for each other, is like we were best friends. So that carries over like into a marriage. Like, yes, you're married, but it's easy to be, when you're in marriage, it's easy to sometimes become like roommates. Like you show up, hey, there's my roomie, you know, you're cohabitating, but you're not really like investing in that person's life because you really don't worry about what's going on, right? Well, that's something that I think helps us, is we've been best friends since we were 15.
Yeah.
And so like knowing how to talk to each other, knowing how to sense how they're feeling, how you need to react because you know how they're feeling, is a big part of what makes us us.
Yeah, I love that. And it sounds like you were able to build a strong like foundation on the rock, like on God and your faith in Jesus. And I feel like that's like so important early on.
Yeah.
And you were able to build like not a house on sand that would fall, but like building, you know, and having alignment in that area. And I know we were talking about it earlier, but like the days are long and you get home and the kids are whining and crying and fighting and you just had a long day. And like, if you know, I don't know how, if I didn't have Jesus in my life, I don't know how people do it. I really don't. Like if I mean, you know, when you put dinner on the table and they're like, this is disgusting, you know, like, you know, so it keeps not only motivated, but again, it's like grounding on the rock and being aligned, I think, and having a partner in teamwork is like, is huge. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. John, you've had like a dynamic journey in football. What has that like path like looked for you, and you know, taking over as head coach for Prince Avenue and kind of growing up, and Anna supporting you through that journey? What has that been like over the last 18 months? What has surprised you? Like, yeah, give us a rundown of that journey.
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, like we've said, she's been there since I started playing high school ball, all the way through college. When I tried to get out of coaching the first time, got back into coaching, you know, got out of coaching, got back into coaching, and just all that kind of inner turmoil that you go through trying to figure out who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. But, you know, getting the blessing of being able to coach in college, getting an opportunity to coach in the NFL, being a position coach in college, and then getting out, removing yourself, starting a business, and then, you know, finding yourself pulled back into the whole coaching world in a way that you'd never really thought you would be doing it, especially at your old alma mater and all that kind of stuff. And now getting the opportunity to lead that program is a blessing, and it's one that you don't take lightly or take for granted, because you know the people who built you and molded you, a lot of those people are still in the building, right? And now you get the opportunity to build and mold the next generation of people. And, you know, her being who she is, allowing me to be kind of all over the place in my career decisions. And ultimately, you know, being that backbone of support. Like, coaches' world is a little bit different. So, like, coaches' wives have to be a little bit different at every level. And you know, so my wife is cut out for that. Anna does an awesome job for that, because one, she knows how to support, but she knows how to go and do as well, because they have to go and do a lot on their own. So you know, that's one thing that I've been blessed with, is her being able to be the human being she is as we go through what we do. But, you know, being back at Prince is awesome, and we're excited to continue to build that legacy there.
What do you think pulled you back in? You said you left, you got out, you went private sector, you know, owning D1 in Athens, right down the street, like right down the road. And you went flip-flopped, and you were in that transition, you know, like you saw those decisions back and forth. What made you, I mean, the opportunity of taking over, putting on the headset for Prince and leading the program there. But what initially was like, man, what drawed you back in? What do you think it was at your core?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, one, the two different things. I was training quarterbacks in the area. I've always kind of, ever since I got back into coaching originally, like I never stopped training quarterbacks, so I never stopped coaching those guys. But I started working with a lot of guys in the area, and one of the guys in particular was Aaron Philo. Young man, he was going to Prince. He was playing behind Brock Vandergrift, who I worked with Brock as well. But Aaron was his first year after Brock left, filling the shoes of a 5-star kid who's done a great job, won a state championship for the first time, all this kind of stuff. And
no pressure.
Yeah, and Coach Vandergriff, who was the head coach before me, kind of called me up. He's like, hey, I got this young guy. You've been working with him. Why don't you just come on the sidelines and help? Right. So the first year I show up once or twice during the week, show up on Fridays, and I'm just kind of like that mentor in his ear.
Scratching the itch.
Doing that. Yeah. And so by the end of the year, like I'm full blown watching film, doing everything that, like everything I said I wasn't going to do at the beginning. And because, you get really invested in those kids, those human beings, and then, all the different kids on the team as well as not just Aaron, but those guys. And then by the end of it, Coach Vandergriff was like, hey, what do you think about coming and calling plays and being the strength coach? And I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, sure. So then I go and do that for 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden, Coach Vandergriff steps away, and they're like, hey, you want to be the head coach? And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do this, let's go. So it was kind of one of those things where probably God pulled me through those things.
Wow.
Because it's not necessarily something I sat down and was like, hey, I want to do this. This is my career path that I want. We used to play the game, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
What do you think we'll be doing in 5 years?
Yeah, we used to play that all the time at dinner. We stopped playing that game.
We're like, we don't know. We don't know where we're going to be in 5 years.
Yeah, we, through the way God has taken us through the many different paths we've taken, he's kind of made a fool of some of those games that we try to play. But at the same time, he's got us in the right spot at the right time in a lot of ways. And you can see that throughout our journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
What has it been like for you to watch Jon just like, kind of those decisions back and forth, and then just like, I'm just going to go on the sidelines on a Friday night just to watch and help him out? Like,
no, I knew.
What was that like?
I knew where that was headed.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say this, when he stepped away, it wasn't because there wasn't a love for football. He's always loved football. He was just trying to figure out ways. So, in coaching, you can end up moving a lot, and it can just uproot your family every couple years. And I think he was trying to give us some stability. So that's where, okay, well, maybe I'll try something, with D1, which we love and is still doing a great job. And that was a great move. But yeah, he's a football coach. He is. So he's in his element, and I think, like you said, we work well together because my personality, I love being around it, and I love, supporting him and supporting the team, but I'm also independent, and I'm able to go make sure the kids get where they need to go, and I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, usually one of those coaches' wives deals is like when the coaches end up retiring one day and they show back up, or when you're like me and you try to do something else and you're around the house a little bit too much, they're like, hey, when are you going to like what are you doing? What are you doing today? No, it's not. It's not here. Like, you need to go over there and let me do my thing, because that's why it works though, is because she has that ability to go and like I said, go do, and not sit back and wait for things to be, done for her or whatever it is. Like, she's very independent, like she said, and has the ability to go do a lot of great things. So
yeah, I love that. And I know you wear many hats, and I want to talk about your hats later, and we will. But you mentioned like being a coach's wife's hard, and I've heard that, and it's like almost like not a lot of people realize the sacrifices that wives make because you're gone. Like, how has that been, and like that transition for you to support the family, obviously support Jon, and we were talking about this just a second ago of like you're going to be a better coach and a better leader by being aligned with your spouse, and it's just a fact, and if you're going to excel better. So how has that been, and like kind of your perspective of seeing Jon transition, make the leap, like because you have many hats,
yes,
and coach's wife is one of them.
Coach's wife is one of them. It's one of my favorite ones.
Good hat to wear. Prince Avenue hat.
So just as far as being as far as for myself or watching him?
For yourself.
Well, you have to.
And other coaches' wives who might be listening.
No, so I was told by a coach's wife when I was very young. I think we had recently gotten married. I think you had maybe just started your coaching career, you're maybe a GA or something. And she was like, just you have to also make sure you take care of yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? Great. And I've come to realize that you are able to support them and be there for them, but you also have to take time for yourself, because you can't get sucked into it too much, because you can't control everything, right? Like I can't control whether we win or lose a game. I can't control, if things are dicey a little bit, you might have to have some thick skin. But what I can do is control, myself. That's, again, part of being independent. A part of, I know we'll get into some things that I do as far as like career and work, and working out is great. It's a great stress reliever.
Yeah.
It's a great, hour of just going and, sweating, and it's great.
Yeah. Good outlet. Yeah.
It's a good outlet. Yeah.
I love that. What's one thing through your transition like that did one thing that surprised you taking on the leadership role of head coach, that when you got into the you've been around football, quarterbacks, but maybe around collaboration or teamwork, one thing that might have surprised you of like, oh, okay, like, is there anything that comes to mind where did something surprise you that you weren't expecting, or maybe dealing with the students or administration or whatever, or is anything that...
Well, I mean, I think there's always things that surprise you whenever you take on a new role, because you think until you're in the middle of it, and then all of a sudden something happens and you're like, really? I got to deal with this?
Yeah.
But, the blessing, one, was growing up under my dad, who was a head coach for a long time, so I got to see a lot of the things that he had to handle, and probably more through osmosis than actually trying to pay attention to it, just kind of being around it, just soaking it in. But then also being under Coach Vandegrift for 3 years, watching that role, helping take through that role, like all that kind of stuff. He did a good job of developing me, and so that when it did come time, like it wasn't a big surprise for me as to what it was,
right,
or what it was going to take. So, there's always things that on a daily basis surprise you.
Sure.
But I mean, people are like, oh, it's not football season, you're probably, chilling. I'm like, no, this is probably the most busy, stressful time of the year, because it's not football. Football, I know. Right. Football is, a little bit more finite than the things that you deal with in the off season. And those are the things in which you really have to be a good leader. You have to be somebody who is solid, that is that has kind of your head screwed on straight, because there's a lot of stuff that gets thrown at you when you're not expecting it. And if you don't know who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, like it's really tough. Yeah. So that's probably the hardest part is, going through, the off season stuff. Because you want to plan, you want to make sure everything's right, so that when you get there, the X's and O's matter, right? But a lot of the stuff leading up to those things is what creates, the culture, the team unity, the different things that are going to pull you through the tough times once you get into the season. Yeah. So those are the things that probably pop up more than anything else.
Were you able to establish any rhythms in your marriage of like, we talking about teamwork a lot, in the season, first season, new schedules, kids are going into different grades. Were you able to establish any like marriage rhythms of like, this is when we're going to get time together, or we're going to go on a walk, or we're going to lift together, or like, were y'all able to get that? Or
so we rely on our family a lot.
Yes, awesome. Grandma, grandpa,
yes,
thank you.
Both of our parents are in town, so we
Lolly and Poopaw.
Lolly and Poopaw,
yes.
Gran and Papa.
Gran and Papa.
And we have, cousins, and so we rarely have to go outside of our family for a babysitter, which is, we're spoiled, and I fully recognize that. And even our babysitters that are not family feel like family, because they're just very close friends. So we have one night a week that is our date night, and the kids actually spend the night with their grandparents. So we're able to, well, I sleep in. I guess you still have to go in early in the morning. So that's a reprieve. But anytime that, we need to, go get something done, or, we're both, I have to work, you have to work, we have grandma and grandpa who can help us out.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, learning how to shut off in the afternoon. you do go to work early. We are early morning people, both of us, thankfully. But it's one of those things where you go to work early, you get your work done, and when you come home, you're home. Pastor Josh here at Prince always says, go to work hard, come home, work hard, go to bed tired, and wake up and do it again. Like, and it's 100% true. Like, if you're going to bed and you're not tired, like, it means you probably didn't give 100% effort somewhere. And that's one thing that we do a pretty good job of is, once we get home and we get settled and it's dinner time or whatever it is, like we're pretty centered on each other and our family and trying to focus on those things. So
for people who struggle with turning work off and bringing work into home, what are some things are there any guardrails that you have in place of like, hey, no phone zone, or, I struggle with that. I bring real estate, which we'll talk about, never sleeps. And so it's just like, there's always the next deal or always the next play, or what are some things that you do practically that you're like, hey, I'm going to mentally just, leave this at the door. And is there any rhythms there that you'd like to share?
So we do eat around a dinner table as a family with our kids, and we're not on our phones during that time. Like you said, with real estate, there are times where I have to take a call, past 5 p.m. for sure. But that's definitely one. I think we'll go out with our kids in the backyard on a nice day, and even if the thing is, it doesn't have to be 2.5 hours. If it's just the best you can do is 15 minutes. I'm not even going to check my phone. I'm going to give them my undivided attention. That matters.
Yeah, and I think, like we said, like my thing is I wake up really early. I get my work done when nobody else is around, nobody else is awake, so that when practice is over, a lot of coaches have trouble going home after practice and just being done. My whole thought process is it's nothing I can't do in the morning, right?
Yeah, so you said, it can wait.
Yeah.
It can wait. Things that won't wait are your kids. They're going to grow up. They're going to develop. Your wife, she needs to be, tended to and loved on, just like your kids. And so realizing that is hard but important, because your mind does want to go and do other things. But really trying to make a real point and focus to like, hey, when I get out of this truck and I walk in that door, like it's not football anymore. Like, and like she said, there's things that pop up, something happens and you got to handle it, right? That's part of leadership. That's a part of who you are. But for the most part, like when those things aren't there, you're trying to love on those people and those individuals who need you. And that stuff. So
and you guys both have had some big transitions, high school, new football coach, and then you work as a local Athens real estate agent. So tell us like what that journey was like in your background in content creation, business, real estate mergers. Like, what has that been like for you? Because this is I would say, being in real estate myself, it's a very tough market, and it's challenging, and it's not like rainbows and unicorns.
Right.
But you do have a very interesting background.
Yeah.
And you also have a good teammate supporting you here. And so, and I know the phone calls ring at dinner time and it's like the next deal, and the mindset of like it can wait is so strong and so good. But I would love to hear like, how has that journey been? How long you've been doing it? I know it's recently new, good transition, and you work with a great local firm in Athens too.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
So my background is social media.
Okay.
Kind of what we were talking about earlier, where I can't control. I was like a stay-at-home mom. But I found that I needed a healthy outlet because, I can't control what happens if we win or lose a game, So it's like, I probably need to just like have a hobby that I enjoy. And so I started social media, content creation, marketing, working. It grew, and working with businesses at a local level and a national level. And I actually started working with my sister Liz, who has been on your podcast. She owns On Trend Creative Studio, and it's a social media management company, and I helped her manage some of those accounts. Well, she had some real estate professionals as clients that I would help, and so that's where I first kind of got a glimpse of it, because you have to almost like, take a dive into their world, because you want to, make them look great on social media and all of that. So I was like, this is something that could be really great for our family. I could do, obviously you're at the mercy of your client's schedule, but you do have a bit of flexibility in there to where I still can be a mom and all of that. So I took the course in 8 weeks, took the test, passed it, and
Which is no joke, by the way.
It is no
Anyone
joke.
listening, the real estate test is very hard.
Oh.
Which you should be. I'm happy that it's not easy to become a real estate
Yes.
agent, because
No.
you got to study, and
You have to
I know
study.
I probably wouldn't. I know I wouldn't pass it. I mean, it is no joke.
Yeah. So so that was October of 2024. And then here we are today as a real estate agent. I love it. It was crazy how it all still goes together. The social media, the collaborating with businesses, real estate, it all still flows together, because, now you're definitely marketing a home or marketing yourself as an agent. Like you said, I came into it at a very difficult time in the market. I don't know. Everybody talks about this great COVID era where it was pretty easy to afford a home or sell a home. I don't know any of that. But I think that works in my favor.
Absolutely.
In the long run, because all I know is this market. So, you got to put your best foot forward and work really hard to get things done.
What did you think about that, John, when she was like, "Hey, I think I'm going to take the test to become a real estate agent"? Like, what do you think? Like, what were your initial gut reaction?
Your initial reaction to husband is like, well, I wouldn't mind having a little bit more money come in.
Shoot, yeah, man, sell some houses, baby.
Sounds fantastic. Let's do it. But I think, a lot of the support and stuff that you have for your spouse, allowing them to go do things and then helping them feel empowered to go do those things is important. And it made me feel good to watch her study as hard as she did.
Yeah.
Like going back to like high school, like
Flashcards.
like she was the
Flashbacks,
hard worker that would study really hard. Like if I was going to go take this, if I was going to take the real estate test, I'd probably wait until like a month before, and then I'd start trying to cram. Right? No, she studied hard for like what, 3 months.
I went through the course pretty quickly.
Yeah,
but it's normally a few months.
6 years type deal. But she was consistent. You see her going back there, studying, doing the different things that she had to do to make sure she was prepared. And then she goes and crushes the test, which I kind of knew she would just because I've been around her for so long. But, watching those things, it makes you proud. You know what I mean? You got an awesome wife who does an awesome job at home, but she's also able to go and do those things and do it really well. And so now she's doing her thing in real estate and still doing her social media stuff. And, has a lot of things that is important to her, right? And like we said earlier, she's a doer, right? She's not sitting there waiting at home for me to come home and so that she can live her, her to live her life. Like she's doing a good job at home and, at work. And that makes it easy for me to go spend as much time as a coach that I have to do in order for us to succeed. Like knowing that she's got her stuff at home and she's doing a dang good job at it too.
Yeah, I love that. What's been test in late 2024? Jump in. What was one thing that surprised you about the market? Like, maybe anything contract related or just the business in general, where you're like, dang, I just had no idea.
Yeah.
And you're in a tough market. I know we've already said that.
Well, and like everybody says, the test does not prepare you for real estate. It just tries to, teach you the laws to keep you out of jail. But that's not what brings you clients and all of that. So I initially joined a team, and they are excellent. I respect them. I was with the Eterno Realty Group. They're Keller Williams team.
Awesome.
I just think the world of them, because they took me in and they, truly just taught me, okay, this is how you write a contract. This is how, this is next. And so I am forever grateful for them. And then, but one thing is with the team, there are splits. So you
Right, of
have,
course.
at the end of the day, your money is your livelihood. So I took a leap of faith and joined a brokerage. It's actually pretty new here in Athens, but it's some agents who are they're great, very well known in town.
Mentors.
They're great
Yeah.
mentors, and it's been really good. I've been really lucky because I know that I think last year, what was the rate was like, it was up there, maybe 70 or 80% of agents only sold like maybe one or two homes. It's not an easy market. So I did pretty good for my first year, and I'm really thankful
Yeah.
to where everything else will
awesome.
lead. We'll see.
I love your social media presence. I feel like, and both of you do a really great job of like just being authentic. And like, I feel like I already knew both of you before I met you, which is cool. And that's like a unique gift to be able to let people kind of see the highlights, but also, that authenticity. What would be your advice for people, real estate agent or not, who's like, I feel like I need to be on social. I need that billboard. I need that. I call it like a social cafe where you're like almost going in, shaking hands at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
But they're hesitant and they're like, I just don't want to pick up the video and film. What would be what would be your advice, like mentally, or like to take that leap of like, hey, if you want to grow your brand and your presence, what would you tell them?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say, you do have to post. You do. Even if you just want to start with like a 30-second story of yourself. It doesn't have to be this elaborate thing. Hey guys, my name's Anna Richt. I'm here, or you could even just be like, I'm at this coffee shop today. It's a great coffee shop. You should try this latte. It's excellent. Because just being a good resource in general, because people aren't buying homes every single day, right? You're buying a home, some people 10 years. So still being at the top of their mind, though, for when that time comes to when they are ready to buy, you want to be at the top of their mind. So even if they're not going to buy now, it's like, oh, you know what? Anna, I remember she's a real estate agent, but like I see her on social media all of the time, just, showing this or promoting this business, or she's, just trying to be authentic, it just, I think that's one way to really help yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to have a goofy husband.
Yes,
that's willing
true.
to do dumb stuff
easy.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
the
that
Instagram
helps.
husband,
Yeah.
He is. Yeah.
You got to learn how to take pictures at the right angles.
Yes,
Take a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Options, angles.
And angles, right? And then just being willing to be, a little goofy is good for the husband. That's a big role for us, for them.
Well, that's that's good teamwork. The yin and the yang and the balancing act. So what's like either of you guys can answer this. One simple way someone listening today could foster, better teamwork, not only at home, we've talked about a lot, at work or in like our community. And you guys have like different atmospheres really of teamwork. So what would you say, to?
Well, football and in home, like one of the number one things that you have to be able to do is communicate. Right. So the way that you communicate, on a football field, and, the players have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to communicate from the sideline to the guy calling the play on the field, and then all of them have to communicate their job. Like if one person doesn't communicate well, everything breaks down. And it's the same thing at home. If you're not willing to communicate, whether it's what you're feeling at the time or how you feel you've been treated or how you perceived something to happen, and being vulnerable in that communication at home is really important. And that's something that, we've kind of done for a long time. Is both of us are kind of no nonsense people, so that kind of helps.
Yeah.
Like we don't kind of beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Like
Don't play games, man.
Like if we need to say something, we say it. But then like with the communication, like everybody talks about how you talk, but it's about how you listen and how you are able to understand what's coming in too. So like football wise, like if I'm doing something as a play caller and then somebody gives me a suggestion and or somebody says, hey, this is happening, or my quarterback comes off the field and it says, hey, I see this, right? How am I able to take that? It doesn't matter what I feel or how I think their game's going. I have to be able to listen to what they're doing how they're perceiving the situation, and then be able to make a play that gets everybody in the best position to succeed. And when you're at home, sometimes it's you're watching body language as much as you're watching or listening to what they say, right? And sometimes just being present there and being willing to listen and talk is two of the biggest things that help create the team unity, the culture, everything that's going on usually protects that more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. I was also going to say communication. That's huge. Probably number one, being quick to communicate. Also humility. I know we talked about our home life, but even in real estate, it takes a team to get somebody to the closing table. It's not just me. We need a lender. We need a real estate photographer. There's so many moving parts. So communication is huge. Humility. One example of when I first started out, I was newer, but I had that social media background. So you know what I did? I told other real estate agents, I'm like, hey, if you're good with it, like if I have your permission, I can film your listing and put it on social media. And there's you have to give them credit as a listing agent and all of that. There's certain rules.
Great idea though.
But they and that was a teamwork. It was like, you know what? You maybe have been in this business for 20 years, but I can do social media. And I can help you with that. And they're like, great. So that was just a way to collaborate and show some teamwork there.
Awesome. Yeah. So, we've been collaboration, and we've been kind of focusing in teamwork. But what, kind of flowing into that and creating those almost atmospheres, because you have so many, different areas. And so, with that said, how do you all make you remarkable or excel kind of in those groups that you guys are in?
Yeah. Well, I think it comes from having strong support to start with, right? Anybody, the more support you have behind you, the more comfortable and aggressive and confident you are moving forward, right? So that's one thing that, we're both blessed with, is we've got, people behind us with each other, pushing each other to go and do those things. But, learning how to, being able to put yourself out there, understand who you are, and then understanding that there's the next generation for me is a big part of who I am. Wanting to build that next generation, whether they're athletes, that's great. That's awesome. Winning football games is great, but learning how to develop them into young men who will then be able to make their mark, or make their remarkable on their next generation. If I can raise a young man that comes back in 20 years and brings me his wife and his kids, and he's doing a great job, that's what you want to see. That's what you want to get from all of this. And so that's kind of where we push our stuff and our value and our culture is towards those goals.
Love that.
Yeah, I agree. And to harp on the family aspect a little bit, our kids are watching. So, it's one of those
Taking
things.
Notes.
Yeah, they're taking notes. And, I want to be a great example of, you can go do it too. You've got this, go be great. And then, like Jon said, investing in others. And that includes even my clients. It's not just a transaction. They're going through a reason for why they are buying or selling. Maybe it's their first time buying a home, and I need to be that steady sounding board for them, guiding them through it. So I don't take it lightly. And we're just thankful for this community and the people that we get to invest in.
Awesome. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. How do our listeners stay connected to you? What's the best way?
So for me, the easiest way is probably Instagram.
Okay.
Anna.Richt on Instagram, and you will see a little bit of everything on there.
Yeah, you can pretty much follow me through her Instagram.
Perfect. Yeah, there we go. It's a 2-for-1 package.
Yeah, we're on there a lot together, and that's a good way to keep up with us.
I love it. You guys are a joy. I've really enjoyed talking to you. You guys are so easy to talk to. Thank you so much for taking your time out and making you remarkable.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Make Your Remarkable. If you enjoyed the conversation, leave us a review, share it with a friend, or follow us on social media at Oconee State Bank and at remarkable_mortgage for more remarkable insights. And remember, at the heart of every journey, it's not about the process. It's about the purpose you're building, one bold step at a time. Until next time, keep making your remarkable.